how many of you that are here are gardeners? You can just type in the chat if you'd like. And what kind of a gardener are you? Are you a really experienced gardener? Are you like a pot plant gardener? Leslie's like, no. I did a pot plant garden when we first moved into our first home. And I was like, well, maybe that'll be easier. And I actually put the pots out on the ground. We didn't have any grass yet or anything. And it made it so difficult to like cut grass around it. And I just didn't really know what I was doing. And so it looked awful. I didn't know how to take care of them. So I wouldn't say that I am a super experienced gardener, but I do have a tower garden in my home that has been super neato. So if anybody's interested in tower gardens, talk to me about it, and I can tell you a little bit about that, because they can also be intimidating for getting rolling, and there are a variety of different kinds. So, but today we're going to talk about natural gardening with essential oils. And just a disclaimer, which we have not been remembering to put on our slides in a while, the information included in this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not to diagnose, prescribe, treat, or cure any disease or illness. So don't read into it what we're not saying. All right, so welcome. So we have different types of gardeners, everybody that's watching this. Some are new, some are experienced. And then you may want to create like a beautiful landscape, or you might want to grow a bounty of fresh, wholesome produce. Especially these days, we're thinking maybe we should just grow our own. Is that something that y'all are interested in? Post in the comments. Is that something you'd like to grow your own veggies? Yeah, and fruits. So, and be a little bit more independent. The homestead era, that's my shirt says I'm in my homestead era. Well, I kind of want to be, but haven't made enough time to do it. So it does take time to do your researching and learning how to do it. But there's a lot of information out there, and there are a lot of Facebook groups of people that are very invested in this. So Tracy Carlson also said yes. But she said, I can't keep anything alive. Yeah, I've learned a few things along the way that were so simple that I couldn't believe that I didn't know it. So you may also be a small, have a small plot. We have a very small backyard, which my husband said, absolutely no, you cannot garden in my yard, because I have gardened in the yard before and neglected it, and it looked terrible. So I don't blame him. That's why I went to towers. Until I can prove that I am consistent with that, he won't let me garden in the yard. So you may have a small yard, or you might have, something giant like backyard oasis, something beautiful space to plant all kinds of things. And then gardening could also be your hobby, your passion, or it could be your livelihood. Save money and know what's being put on your plants, right? All right. So why organic? Let's talk about organic. Is your garden a danger zone? If you're new to the idea of organic gardening, here are some startling facts that you might want to consider. Herbicides, they don't just kill weeds. Herbicides are toxic to animals. They have a 300% increase of cancer in dogs living where herbicides are used. They cause cancer in humans. They're damaging to the embryonic, placental, and umbilical cells in vitro. So if you're pregnant, then you have a double whammy there, right? Pesticides don't just kill garden pests. They're only about 1% of insects in your garden are actually pests. Pesticides disrupt the natural ecosystem. It exterminates pollinators and beneficial insects. And there are some health concerns asthma, fertility issues, Parkinson's disease, leukemia, and autism. And what about fertilizers? Do you know what's in your fertilizers? There are good fertilizers and not so good fertilizers. Inorganic fertilizers contain industrial waste nitrates, lead, arsenic, cadmium, and radioactive components. The fertilizers also contaminate soil and groundwater. So know what's in your fertilizer. We're also going to be talking about essential oils in this presentation. So what are essential oils? The chemistry of essential oils is pretty amazing. Basically, they're the life force of the plant. These concentrated natural aromatic liquids are extracted from shrubs, flowers, trees, roots, and seeds. Plants depend on their essential oil to grow and adapt to their surroundings. Inside the plant, essential oils play a very important role by protecting against pests, disease, and harsh environmental conditions. Every drop of essential oil has a very complex chemical makeup containing hundreds of active constituents that work together in harmony to create the immune system of the plant. Because they're natural and easily recognized by our cells, people have been using essential oils for centuries as a means of alternative medicine and aromatherapy. It just makes sense that we can use these very same substances to protect and heal the plants from which they are obtained. So how do we use them in the garden? Essential oils are valuable for gardening. They make great gardening tools for anyone interested in organic gardening. Just like the function within the plant, essential oils distilled from the plants are very effective at chasing away harmful garden pests, protecting plants against disease, improving the health and growth of the plants, and attracting beneficial insects. The gardener reaps many rewards from a healthy garden treated with natural essential oils. So you don't want to just go grab something off the store shelf and say, oh, these are great tips. I'm just going to go get something from Walmart that's super cheap and crappy. So you could be causing a lot of damage to your plants and to your pets. So you want to make sure, of course, that you are using Young Living essential oils, because the word pure, the word like 100% essential oils, all, even organic, they're not going to be as good as what we have with Young Living, because we know what they are from seed to seal. They haven't, we have, we manage it all the way, the whole entire process, and we know what those oils are, and that they are at the right constituents that they need to be, constituent levels. So essential oil safety tips, always pay attention to safety tips. When you're applying essential oils to plants, the temperature, don't apply them if the temperature is over 100 degrees. It's best to apply them in the morning. Avoid spraying if plant tissues are wet or if rain is likely. Don't apply with sulfur or sulfur containing pesticides, and avoid spraying certain plants such as black walnut, Douglas fir, hickories, junipers and cedars, maples, especially like the Japanese and the red maples, redbud, smoke tree, and spruce, especially the dwarf Alberta spruce. Don't spray while pets are nearby, as they can be sensitive to certain oils, and you don't want to have to think about like which ones are okay, which ones aren't, but we will cover that a little bit later in the presentation. If essential oil does get into the eyes, your eyes or your dog or whatever, if it gets into the eyes, just flush it out with a mild carrier oil, not water. Use carrier oil like olive oil, coconut oil, almond oil. One of those will be fine. Just rub it right in, and then you can rinse it out. Store in a cool, dark place. Light, air exposure, and heat can cause oxidation and destruction of some active constituents in the essential oil. So you want them to be as effective as possible. You don't want them to have been damaged before you get to use them. All right, so there's going to be a lot of tips for the very beginners in here. So if you are an experienced gardener, just bear with me. We will get into some more, some deeper details, but these are just basic organic gardening tips for beginners. So organic gardening provides a means of growing healthy, high quality foods and flowers without the use of synthetic chemicals. You can get started with just a few guidelines. So to pick your plot, start small at first. A lot of us get this, you know, big dream. We're like, let's just do it all. And we have these big plots and everything. And then it becomes very overwhelming. Or we end up with 5,000 tomatoes, which we don't need. So it takes, so start small. It takes less work and fewer materials. And then you can get some experience with that. Choose a location with at least 6 hours of sun for most vegetables. Locate locate it close to your house for convenient harvesting. So if you have a lot of property, of course, you don't want to be trekking all the way down to the other end. Also, choose a spot near a water spigot for frequent watering. Makes it quite a bit easier. The most popular choices for garden plots are the ground, raised beds, or container gardening. The ground is often the most economical location. You don't have to be watering it all the time. Growing straight in the ground offers the benefits of resident organisms that will help your garden to thrive. Raised beds are also a good way to go if your existing soil quality is poor and you want to start planting right away. You'll want to keep the beds narrow so that you can reach the middle of them. So about 4 feet is a good width, and 16 inches is an ideal height. So also, you know, if you don't want to be on the ground all the time, a lot of people like to build the raised bed so that they're not stooping really low. So that's also another possibility, even, you know, if you're a little bit higher than 16 inches. So simply build your frame, fill it with soil and other amendments that you want in there, and you're ready to plant. Container gardening is also a great option for growing plants in a small space. Flowers do great in containers, as do tomatoes, green onions, bell peppers, or any kind of peppers, beans, and lettuce. And there's lots of different kinds of lettuces too. Make sure that the containers have holes in the base to allow for adequate drainage. So this could also apply to, there are some soil type of tower gardens. So if you're really limited on space, say you're an apartment or just have like some little space that's not soil, then the towers are a good option for that because they go up, so they take up less space. So you would want to go with the container method for those. Now, if you're doing the raised gardens, you might look at like the keyhole garden. A keyhole garden is really kind of cool looking. You can build it up with, when I built one, I built it with a bunch of bricks that we had laying around. So I just made my nice pretty keyhole garden, which can be square or it can be round. Just look it up online. There's some great ideas there. And you can actually, like the center of it, make it into a compost, or the compost seeps into the soil as it composts. So that's a really cool idea. It does take a little bit of work, just like any raised garden that you would be putting together. Okay, very important is to prepare the soil. If you just put it right into the ground, it's kind of a hit and miss. It depends on the quality of your soil. So healthy plants need healthy soil. Organic soil is rich in humus, which is a result of decaying materials such as leaves, grass clippings, and compost. So like the keyhole garden, you can throw all that into the middle, but it takes a while for those to decay. So getting some already, like made is the best thing to do. And then you can be adding as you go. So it helps to retain moisture and allows sufficient drainage. So that's what the organic soil that is rich in humus is good for. And then healthy soil is alive, and it's going to help support living organisms that you want in your soil, such as earthworms, nematodes, fungi, protozoa, and bacteria. They're all the good ones that are supposed to be in there. They all help to maintain the quality of the soil. Your soil should be loose and airy with plenty of essential minerals. If it is like packed down like You know, our soil here in San Antonio on the south of if you're south of I-35, you usually have a lot of clay in your soil. If you're north of 35, then you have a lot of limestone in your soil. And both of them can be very depleted of minerals. So a proper pH is a vital characteristic of healthy soil, and most minerals and nutrients are best available to plants in soils with a pH between 6.5 and 6.8. There are 17 or so elements thought to be essential for plant growth. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are the most vital, while calcium, magnesium, and sulfur are known as secondary nutrients. Basic do-it-yourself test kits are available at most gardening and home improvement stores for testing the mineral content of your soil, but you can also obtain a low-cost and sometimes free tests with your local county cooperative extension office or university. And there is a link here right in the middle. It's gardeningnowhow.com/extension-search. So you may want to just copy that down and go see what you can find a location near you to see if you can get a free test kit. Also, you can often go to a local plant nursery and just bring a sample of your soil, and often they're able to test it there and tell you exactly what you need for your soil. So that's really helpful. Compost works as a fertilizer, mulch, and a weed preventer all in one. If you don't have a compost pile, you can purchase compost by the bag or truckload. To improve your soil, you're going to spread a 2 to 4 inch layer of compost, decayed leaves, dry grass clippings, or manure over the entire surface of your garden. Never use fresh manure or that from carnivorous animals. Compost is the organic gardener's best friend. So while Wendy and I were traveling to Denver, we were in Amarillo, like as we were going towards Amarillo from San Antonio. We got close and we realized that everyone, I think everybody probably used manure to compost their fields, because we were like, wow, that's kind of right. So some people do that every year, and they usually have the best yards, the best grass, the best veggies and produce and everything. So you just have to deal with the smell for a while. So, but you can get some that doesn't smell so bad, or just go for the compost. That usually has more of an earthy smell anyway. A good fertilizer adds essential nutrients that might not be readily available in your soil. Organic garden fertilizer slowly releases nutrients into the soil. Some recommended organic fertilizers, in addition to humus and manures, are bone meal, blood meal, earthworm castings, and fish emulsion. Avoid harsh synthetic fertilizers that are harmful to the environment and can kill the beneficial microorganisms. Because once you start killing off your ecosystem, then your garden is going to, you'll start noticing it in the plants. All right, how do you know what plants to choose? No matter how great your soil is, if you don't choose the right plants for your area, they're not going to thrive. So after testing your soil, carefully choose plants that will be well suited to each location based on the moisture, the drainage, and the amount of sunlight and soil quality. The healthier your plants, the more resistant they will be to disease and pests. It's important to check the USDA's hardiness zone map, and here's the website here right in the middle of the slide. And you can use that to find plants that grow well in your area. So like if you're ordering seeds, I like to order seeds from, what is it called? Baker. I'll have to look it up. They're heirloom seeds that I like to order. So yeah, I can't think of the name right now. So if you're ordering seeds, you'll want to know where where the plants grow well. And usually if you order seeds from an online catalog, they're going to show you the zones that they grow well in. So you just want to pay attention to that. Be sure to seek out only certified organic plants, seedlings, and or seeds. Often the best variety and selection of plants suited for your area can be found at your local garden center or farmer's market. So that's always a good place to go, because you can ask questions and they can tell you like, hey, this grows better in partial shade, or this grows better in full sun. So they can give you a lot of tips on that. And sometimes even like, hey, make sure you add this to your soil because it's going to help them. So always check with in those areas, your local nursery and maybe farmer's market too. Okay, proper planting and watering. So how do I know how much to water? Do I water too much? Am I watering enough? I often just kind of put my plants out there, watered them for a while, and then let them go to see what would survive. The ones that survive are the ones I'm going to keep. So because I don't want to be like handling them all the time. I had lavender, rosemary, and green onions grew really well here, and I never had to water them. They returned every year. So those are the best ones to do. And you're like, oh, look, they just popped out of the ground. I go clip them and use them. So thyme was another one. Once it got established, it stuck around for a while, but rosemary is amazing. And of course, that's here in South Texas. Okay, after you have chosen your plants, follow the instructions on the labels for proper spacing and planting methods specific to each of the plants. Be sure to allow ample space between the plants to promote air circulation and avoid fungal attacks. They don't like to be crowded. Grouping plants will also help to reduce weeding, waste of water, and will make it easier to apply compost and mulch. Whether you water by hand or use an irrigation system, the best time to water is in the morning. Apply water near the base of the plants for absorption by the roots. So you can use like the hoses that they're like the drip hoses, the soaking hoses. Those are nice because you're not wasting a lot of water in the air that gets evaporated. So avoid spraying the leaves in the late day, because if they sit wet overnight, it's going to promote fungal growth that may not be a really good fungus growing on your plant. So you don't want to do it at night. It's best to deeply water a couple of times a week for a total amount of about an inch of water per week, including rainfall. So you'll do like a nice deep watering a couple times a week. All right, weeding. Everybody loves weeding, right? We want to weed because weeds siphon the water that you're putting in it, and they'll take a lot of the water and the nutrients from the garden. They also can harbor pests and detract from the beauty of your garden. So hand weeding is preferred method to remove weeds because it eliminates the use of harsh chemicals and gives you an opportunity to get some exercise while you're working the garden. So those of you in Rev Up, you can say, I was in the garden for an hour today weeding, and you will feel sore. So you can probably plan on having some essential oils and massage oils set aside to help you with the soreness. So compost and organic mulch will help cut down on the weeds, and it also protects the soil and the water in the soil too. So it stays down in the ground and doesn't evaporate. Over time, mulch will decompose into the soil and provide additional nutrients. Okay, protecting your plants from pests. I know pests are very frustrating. So one of the things, as I mentioned before, is like if your plants are getting a lot of pests that are like eating the leaves all the way down, it's because your plants are not healthy enough to defend themselves. Now, there are some pests that are just like, they're going to get it no matter what. And you just have to go out there and watch. You can, if you have some caterpillars out there munching on stuff, then relocating them is not going to help. Smashing them may seem a little cruel. Put them in a container with some of the plant in it and have it there for your kids or grandkids to watch the cycle of this creature, and then maybe go deliver it, release them in the park, not in your yard. Okay, so bugs are a big part of a gardener's everyday life and are not all harmful. You should encourage beneficial insects and pest predators such as toads, frogs, lizards, birds. So if you want to encourage birds, then you're going to have bird feeders and a little area where they can have some cover near the bird feeder, a water source for them. That'll encourage them. Bats, if you want to put up bat houses, that's kind of a cool one. Spiders are okay. Spiders are beneficial. They eat those other bugs. And ladybugs especially are really good to hang out in the garden. Also, praying mantises are pretty good too. And you can actually order ladybugs and praying mantises and release them into the yard. So this will control pests and diseases without the use of chemical pesticides. Also, companion planting involves selecting and growing a variety of companion crops that support the growth of your garden and discourage pests and weeds. Maintaining a clean garden will help prevent pests, and we'll talk a little more about companion planting in a bit. So yeah, if you have like weeds growing up everywhere, then that does draw in pests. When the occasional infestation does happen, there are many natural pesticides that can be used or made using essential oils and other ingredients from your kitchen. So you don't have to run out and get the poisons. Harvesting. Finally, all the work is paid off and you get to reap the benefits of your labor. Harvesting provides the most rewarding experience after you have spent so much time and energy nurturing your garden. Organic gardening is full of rewards, providing healthy food for your family while caring for the health of the environment as well. A crop requires consistent harvesting in order to continue producing. With many crops, the more you harvest, the more plants it will produce for you. So if you do have to harvest them. If you let them go, then they can get overgrown and they'll stop producing. So there was something along those lines. Let me see. Oh, okay. So one of the one of the ways to get your kids, grandkids, maybe some adults to eat vegetables is to have them help you grow them because they're so proud of their produce that they spent time growing that they're more willing to eat it. So that was one of the things that we did with homeschooling and raising our kids in general was just, hey, let's go grow some of these. And then they get excited and then they suddenly want to eat those. So, okay, so let's talk about methods of organic pest control with essential oils. Essential oils are very effective at keeping the garden pest and chemical free. So the best methods for application are make an essential oil spray. So this is the best way to deter insects. So you'll add 8 to 10 drops of the desired essential oil. We'll talk about different possibilities a little bit later, but these are general methods. So 8 to 10 drops of the oil, essential oil, to 1 gallon of water and spray directly on the plants and the soil around them. This is the best method to use as a deterrent, treating for disease, and to encourage plant growth. You can use cotton balls. This is the best way to deter ground-moving insects like mice, squirrels, cats, and dogs. You're going to add 4 to 5 drops of essential oil to cotton balls and scatter them around the area or place in burrows or nests. You can also place the cotton balls in small containers and bury the container in the ground, keeping the top level with the soil. So it'll be open there. Another way is to hang strips of cloth. This is best suited for dissuading cats, dogs, and other animals from entering the garden. This method can also be used to attract pollinators and beneficial insects. So you'll spray a solution of water and essential oils on cloth strips and hang them from stakes, dowels, or other structures. And then finally, string. You can use string. This is the best way to deter flying insects. So you'll soak the string in a solution of water and essential oils, and then you'll put the string between the rows of the plants. Just lay it down there, or you can even stand it up with some dowels or something. Okay. So we will go through all the possibilities of different essential oils that you can mix together for those. Let's talk a little bit about the common garden pests. So these would be ants, aphids, caterpillars, mosquitoes, slugs, and snails, squash bugs, and white flies. Now, my grandmother used to put She used to put jar lids out by her plants because snails were always attracted to her pot garden, and she had it in kind of a moist, cool area. And so she would put in a jar lid, she would put some beer and salt. So they were drawn to the beer and the salt would kill them. It kind of melts them. So it's kind of a rough way to die. All right. Okay, common garden pests here. Okay, so for ants, while ants do not cause harm to plants, they do encourage aphids by protecting the aphids from beneficial predators. Fire ants can pose a hazard simply because of their painful bite also. So look for ant hills on the ground, small holes in the ground with displaced dirt particles and trails of ants. Here's the essential oils that you can use for ants. Are you ready? Peppermint, spearmint, citronella, orange, and cedarwood. Would y'all like me to put that? If you want, I can put it in the chat. I know we'll go through these kind of fast. Okay. Trying to put it in the chat. There you go. Okay, for aphids, oops, hold on. Just switched out away from my notes. Okay, aphids are colonizing pests that attach to plants and feed on the nutrient-rich sap, especially the young tender growth. They can also carry harmful viruses that attract mold and other pests with their own sweet secretions. So how do you find these? You're going to look for clusters of rice-sized insects. They can be pink or green, black, yellow. They're going to be on the underside of tender new growth and flower beds. So you can flip over the leaves and you'll see them under there. They prefer many of the ornamental plants, including roses. So the essential oils to use for aphids are peppermint, spearmint, tea tree, eucalyptus, hyssop, cedarwood, orange, and well, we don't have access to white fir anymore. We used to have access to white fir. All right, I don't know, when I paste into the Zoom chat, it wants to make an image out of it. I don't know why it does that. It's kind of weird. So I have to tell it not to. Okay, what about caterpillars? Those are probably the most common problematic creature. So various types feed on leaves, stems, and fruits of plants. You're going to look for large holes chewed on the leaves of the plants. Usually if you go and look around, you'll find the caterpillars there. Like the tomato hornworm, they can strip the leaves from the plant in a very short amount of time. So if you see one, you don't want to just be like, oh, I'll get that later, because later might be no more leaves. So also look for the presence of small black droppings on the leaves. Those are their little poops. So you'll recognize that. And they are voracious eaters, those caterpillars, especially the tomato hornworm. Okay, so essential oils to deter from caterpillars, or to deter caterpillars, are peppermint and spearmint. Okay, I'm putting that in the chat. All right, so as part of your gardening, you may attract mosquitoes. Thankfully, we don't have malaria-carrying mosquitoes here, but still they're a pest. These buzzing insects do not pose any harm to your garden. In fact, they actually provide a food source for many beneficial creatures, including birds and bats. However, the nuisance that they create with their itchy bite and the threat of diseases they potentially spread is enough to make most gardeners take precautions to eliminate them. Like many other flying insects, they look for moist environments in which to lay their eggs, so good soil drainage and removal of all standing water will help to keep them under control. So to find, to recognize mosquitoes producing, you're going to look for small larva worms that are in standing water. Mosquito bites produce itchy raised red bumps, so you know that that's mosquito. And then you have some deterrent for mosquitoes, for essential oil deterrents. Those include, I'll put this in the chat, lavender, lemongrass, peppermint, purification, and citronella. All right, moving on to snails and slugs. These are actually mollusks. Snails and slugs will feast on just about any plant. They seem to prefer the young, tender transplants, leafy vegetables, and succulent plants. They're active mostly at night and during wet weather. Slugs and snails are very prolific, and they can lay up to 500 eggs per year. Wow. So you're going to look for what they look like: large, irregularly shaped holes in leaves and shiny slime trails. So most of us recognize those when we see them. Essential oils for slugs are white fir, which we don't have access to anymore normally, pine, cedarwood, hyssop, and purification. Okay, and then let's see, snails is going to be patchouli, white fir, pine, and cedarwood. And put that in the chat here. All right. And then squash bugs. These are often referred to as leaf bugs, or we used to call them stink bugs because they resemble dried leaves. They'll feed on many vegetable plants with a strong preference for pumpkin and other squash plants. They suck juices from the leaves, causing them to dry up and turn black. So you'll look for these leaf-shaped or colored bugs. There's all different kinds, but they have that generally same shape. So you can look it up online and see what they look like. You look for shriveled, blackened leaves and reduced output of a plant. The way to deal with squash bugs is peppermint oil. So I'm not going to put that in the chat because that one's easy. Okay, and the last one that we're going to cover is white flies. These tiny insects suck plant juices from the leaves and the stems of almost any plant. They secrete a sticky, sweet substance that can encourage some types of fungus to grow. So you're going to look for small, triangularly shaped white insects with transparent wings that congregate on the underside of leaves near the veins. Eggs and tiny oval-shaped larvae may also be seen on the underside of leaves. Ants are attracted to their sweet, sticky secretions, so the presence of ants can also alert to a whitefly infestation. Affected plants will become weak and with wilted or yellow leaves and stunted growth. So to deter whiteflies, you are going to use peppermint or tea tree. And just put that in the chat. All right. So you'll use the methods that we talked about previously, any of those methods. And then these are the oils that you wrote down are the ones that are used. So you may want to take a screenshot of this because this pretty much covers all the ones we talked about plus more. It's a nice quick reference. If you would like for me to send it to you, send me a message in Facebook Messenger. Or for those watching the replay, send it to me in Messenger or comment in the YouTube video, and I will send it to you. I'll get your contact information so I can get it to you. Make a nice printout. Okay, let's move on to talk about fungus. So essential oils are invaluable when it comes to dealing with garden diseases. Many essential oils have antibacterial, antifungal, and antiseptic properties. Garden fungus, including mold and mildew, is responsible for about 85% of all plant diseases. Because fungus spores are heat and cold resistant, a fungal infection can be difficult to treat, but There are many essential oil remedies that create an environment that is unfavorable to fungi. Because fungi prefer warm, moist conditions, maintaining good drainage and avoid overwatering that to help prevent fungal outbreaks. So that's why when we talked about the different soils and composts and things like that to use, that's why you want it to be um, like have good drainage and everything. Fighting common disease in plants. Early blight affects vegetables and fruits, plants under stress due to extreme weather or improper nutrition, or those with a heavy load of fruit are most susceptible. Symptoms include large brown and black spots on leaves. Symptoms usually appear on the lower leaves first. And then late blight usually affects tomatoes, peppers, and potatoes. Symptoms include water-soaked spots on top of leaves with white fuzzy growth on the underside. Late blight also appears on the lower leaves of the plant first. Powdery mildew affects a wide variety of plants. It's a powdery white growth that grows on the surface of the leaves. The fungus robs the plant of necessary nutrients, which causes loss of leaves, reduced yield of produce, and even death of the plant. And then there's also clubroot, which affects vegetables in the cabbage family. The infected plant will wilt and the older leaves will turn yellow and drop. It also distorts the roots and stunts the growth of the plant. So this fungus favors warm, wet soil. And left untreated, it can live in a soil for up to 10 years. So every time you plant, it just keeps getting it. So you have to treat it. Gray mold affects many plant species. The most notable hosts are grapes and strawberries. It spreads rapidly in gardens, especially during damp, cool weather. Symptoms include soft gray, mushy spots on the leaves, stems, flowers, and on produce. Fuzzy gray fungus spores will eventually cover spots, resulting in shriveling and rotting of the fruits and plants. All right. So how do we deal with common diseases or common fungus in the plants? So general fungi treatment, this may be something you want to take a picture of in case you run across a problem with this. Tea tree is a first choice, citronella, rosemary, peppermint, or thieves. So you're going to take these and 1 quart of water, a tablespoon of baking soda, and 1 drop of mild dishwashing liquid or Castile soap. Our Young Living dishwashing soap is a really good option for this. So to 1 quart of water, you're going to add 8 to 10 drops of the essential oil, baking soda, and dishwashing liquid, and then just shake it up really well before applying to the affected plants. Apply once or twice a week as needed. So you put that in a spray bottle. All right, what about bacteria? So most bacterial diseases are spread by garden pests, especially the sap-sucking type of insects, because they typically infect plants through the natural openings or wounds. Proper drainage, along with keeping your garden clean, will prevent or help prevent serious bacterial infections. Bacterial wilts are the most common bacterial infection. It'll cause large light green spots on the leaves that later turn yellow and will fall off. The bacterium is commonly found in the gut of cucumber beetles. You can look those up to see what they look like so that you can recognize them if they invade your garden. Bacteria wilt treatment is, here's a little recipe for you. And actually, since it's not on the slide, let me go ahead and put it in the chat. The bacterial wilt treatment is 8 to 10 drops of purification, rosemary, oregano, thyme, or tea tree oil, or a combination of those, and 1 quart of water. So you're going to remove any of the affected leaves or stems. Then you're going to add essential oil to the water and spray liberally over the affected area. Let's see. I see a couple of questions, Leslie. Oh, send you the quick run. Yeah, if you could send that to me in Facebook Messenger, then I won't forget. So just send me a message there. And then the black spots on tomatoes. Uh, I'm not sure. It could be any combination of these things. Let me put this in the chat real quick so that you have access to this. You can copy and paste it somewhere or take a picture of it. The black spots, I mean, they could be caused by insects that are messing with the plant, or that's going to be it could be a fungus, it could be a bacteria. And so since it's some of these recipes are very similar, you can just spray generally and see what happens. See if it takes care of it. Yeah. And then also kind of look out for any pests that might be in the area that could be causing them.
Could it be something in the soil?
It's possible because there can be bacteria in the soil. Remember, like we were talking about some of the fungus that can be in the soil and just stay there for a long period of time. So that's why you want to start with a really good clean soil and move on from there. Yeah. So that's a possibility. Also, if you go to your local garden store or farmer's market and show them a picture of it, they'll probably be able to tell you. And then you can come back and look at your charts for dealing with it naturally, because they'll probably tell you, well, here's a pesticide you can use or herbicide or something. Be like, that's okay. I just want to know what it was. That's what we do with doctors too. Just tell me what it is so I can go home and deal with it. All right. So natural weed control. Many weeds are naturally discouraged by a garden that is healthy and thriving, just like fungus and bacteria and insects attacking. If the garden is healthy and thriving, then you won't have as much problem because they're able to produce their own self-defense. But the occasional weed is inevitable with any type of garden. A layer of mulch over the soil surface serves to prevent many of the weeds from taking roots into the ground. So a depth of 2 to 4 inches is most effective if you're going to put your mulch down. The simplest method of removing weeds is by hand as they appear in the garden. But sometimes you have these really stubborn weeds or a more widespread problem, then you can use a recipe, which again is not on the slide. So I'm going to post this in the chat and I'll read it. I'll go ahead and read it for those of you that are watching. Okay, why didn't it paste properly? Okay, I'll keep working on that while I read it. Okay, so natural weed killer is 20 ounces of vinegar, 1 drop of Castile soap, 8 to 10 drops of essential oils. And the essential oils can be like cinnamon bark, Palo Santo, basil, pine, and oregano. Okay, now I pasted this in here like 5 times. Sorry. Let's see if I can just get the simple thing out here. Okay, there you go. So it's in the chat there for you. All right, so you can try that out and see how that works on those stubborn weeds and then see if they'll pull out, if they'll just fall over or pull out. All right, so what about companion gardening? Let's go back to that since we didn't get into that very deep. We just mentioned it. All right, so companion planting with vegetables, herbs, and flowers is based on the idea that certain crops planted together have beneficial partnership. Companion plants assist the growth of one another by attracting beneficial insects, repelling pests, providing nutrients, and conserving space. It can also reduce the time and effort involved in pest control and improves the health and yield of your plants. Plants have a very complex chemical process that combat pest, disease, and natural elements. They also have constituents that work as insecticides, fungicides, antivirals, and antibiotics. And so those are part of what is extracted from the plant as the essential oil that contains all the constituents that do that for the plant. So because these substances are all contained in the essential oil of the plants, applying these oils directly to the plants in the garden creates a very effective and low maintenance solution to many gardening issues. The essential oils and plants become great companions in gardening. So here is a basic companion solution. Again, I'm going to post this in the chat. If I can find my mouse, it keeps disappearing. It is 6 to 8 drops of essential oil, which I'm going to show you a chart in just a minute that you can refer to for that, for which oils to use. And then you're going to put those in 2 gallons of water. Combine the oils and the water and apply the solution liberally to the plants and the surrounding soil. Be careful not to apply to foliage during the heat of the day because it'll burn. For best results, apply a mixture 1 to 2 times per week. All right, so let's pull up that chart. There you go. This is super helpful. So, so for the different plants, and then there's essential oils that are like the companion plant for that plant. And those so you choose those essential oils and you mix them up with the water in the recipe that we were just talking about. And then you just spray around it and it helps to support them. So one of the things that we do here, and you can look up companion plants too, or talk to your local plant nursery about what plants to plant near your other plants. And they work together pretty well. One of the things that we use, there are some, like for, if you have a problem with deer around, there are some different plants that you can put in to detract the deer so they're not eating your other plants. Might have a problem with rabbits or something too. So talk to the local plant nursery and see what works for companion gardening there. All right, need a little bit of water. All right, so screenshot of this, or again, let me know and I can send this to you so you can print out something nice. All right, moving on to attracting natural pollinators. Just like certain plants attract bees and other pollinators, essential oils can do the same. Bees are attracted to orange, coriander, lemongrass, lavender, hyssop, marjoram, helichrysum, basil, sage, Roman chamomile, and rosemary and dill. I'll put these in the chat so you don't have to write them all down. Butterflies love lavender, mint, fennel, sage, and helichrysum. Other beneficial insects such as ladybugs, lacewings, hoverflies, and parasitic wasps, yes, they are beneficial, are attracted to coriander, dill, fennel, and Roman chamomile. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat for you. Those that are watching replays can easily just stop and, run everything slower so that they can catch all of these and write them down. All right, so now I have a pollinator's favorite blend recipe. And I'll put that in the chat for those on Zoom. This is 12 drops of lavender essential oil, 8 drops of rosemary essential oil, 5 drops of orange essential oil. You're going to combine all of those and add to cotton balls, string, or cloth strips and scatter those around in the garden around the plants. And then you will attract your natural pollinators. All right, who likes to use gardening as therapy? It can be very relaxing. So nature has long been known for its relaxing qualities as a place for humans to find tranquility and healing. Gardening in particular is associated with mental clarity and feelings of reward, and it has many physical benefits as well. Fruit and vegetable gardening can be particularly gratifying and provide an excellent source of healthy, fresh produce. In addition to these benefits, gardening is great exercise for the body as well as the mind. Gardening also has emerged as a scientifically proven stress reliever. Stress wreaks havoc on the body and can cause irritability, headaches, stomach aches, heart attacks, and other health issues. So find your stress reliever. If you want to go garden, then garden. Now, sometimes in the garden, we have some mishaps. So let's talk about some prevention and what we can do if we run into some of those mishaps. So you know that gardening can both benefit the body and the soul. However, we can come into some potential hazards if you're not careful. So there are risks of accidental cuts and scrapes, sunburn, overexertion, skin irritation, insect bites, respiratory issues, and other discomforts. Thankfully, there are some simple precautions that you can take to avoid most gardening hazards, and the same essential oils that help your garden to bloom can also help you to stay healthy. So, number one, stretch before you work to prepare your muscles and prevent injury and limit soreness. Make sure you're wearing gloves. I know we like to dig our hands into the soil, some of us do. Wear a hat and a long sleeve shirt and apply sunscreen to protect against elements of the sun, water, and other hazards. Using machinery, if when you're using machinery, wear safety glasses and earplugs to protect your ears and your eyes. Protect your knees and your back. Lift with proper techniques and consider wearing knee pads for kneeling in your garden. You don't want to like make yourself so sore and in pain that you're not going to get back out and maintain your garden. Know your limitations. Take frequent breaks and remember to stay hydrated while working. Rotate your tasks and change positions frequently to give your muscles some time to recuperate. Create a gardening first aid kit to have handy, complete with basic implements, bandages, and remedies from the book Essentially Grown Natural Gardening with Essential Oils, which I'll show you at the end of this presentation. We're getting pretty close to the end, so that you can go and see where to find that book. And then be sure to wash your hands thoroughly after gardening, especially before eating. To keep the garden tidy to avoid trips and falls. Remember to put away any gardening tools, especially when curious children might investigate. And so here's just a few tips on how, briefly, how to use essential oils. There are three standard methods of application. It's topical, aromatic, and internal. So topical use of essential oils it's safe and beneficial to apply directly on the skin. Oils are applied neat, which means without a carrier oil, so put on directly or diluted based on personal preference and skin sensitivity. Aromatic use is breathing in the aroma of essential oils, which can deliver great health benefits. A cold air diffuser, which we carry in Young Living, is a great way to enjoy the aroma of oils. And simply place a drop. You can simply place drops of essential oils in your hands, cup your hands over your nose, and inhale. That's another way to do it aromatically. And then we also have internal use. So Young Living's Vitality essential oils are labeled for culinary and dietary use. These oils can be added to water and other beverages. Just make sure you don't put it in plastic. Use glass or like a metal cup. Used in recipes, we can use it in recipes, or you can swallow it in capsules. Common gardener ailments: bee wasp and hornet stings. Ouch. If the stinger remains in the skin, then you know that it was a bee, because bees lose their stinger when they sting you. It basically kills them because it pulls out like all of their intestines when they leave it. So if it doesn't leave a stinger, then you know it was a wasp. So assuming that you didn't see what stung you. So if it has the stinger in there, you're going to need to, you can numb the area with clove essential oil before removing it. Essential oil recommendations are lavender, peppermint, purification, and vetiver. The application, how to apply: you're going to combine 2 drops of the chosen essential oil with 1 teaspoon of baking soda to form a paste, and then apply to the sting and allow it to dry. This can be repeated every 20 minutes until the discomfort is relieved. I will go ahead and put that in the chat. So I'm going to put bee or wasp sting. Okay. There you go. Chiggers. We have chiggers here. Ticks are kind of tend to be in more of the piney woods type areas. You know probably if you have have those in your area. So for chiggers and ticks, you're going to remove before treating the bite. Mix 1 drop of thyme and oregano essential oils over the bite area. The high phenol content will cause a tick or a chigger to release, because it can be hard to get them to pull out. So essential oil recommendations are peppermint, lavender, rosemary, myrrh, frankincense, Idaho balsam fir, purification, melrose, or thieves. Um, and then the application is 1 to 3 drops, neat or diluted to the affected area 1 to 3 times a day. Putting that in the chat since I'm reading through those quickly. Okay, spider bites. Those happen when you're digging around the dirt. Sometimes you run into these little guys. If you suspect that you've been bitten by a black widow or a brown recluse spider, then please seek medical attention immediately. My husband has suspected this and he has not. He's treated it on his own and he's managed to deal with it, but it took a long time. So, essential oil recommendations are lavender, eucalyptus, tea tree, peppermint, myrrh, frankincense, rosemary, thieves, panaway. And then the application, and I will put this in the chat for you. Application, apply selected essential oils to the bite to relieve the pain, reduce inflammation, and prevent infections. If serious infection develops or nausea, muscle cramps, vomiting, joint pain, or severe abdominal pain occurs, then you need to seek medical attention. Don't mess around when it comes to these things. Usually whenever we use some natural treatments, this is something that we do as a way to alleviate and start working on the area before we, like, as we're going to the hospital, okay? Don't mess around with some of these things. Okay, other minor bites and stings. Essential oil recommendations are lavender, purification, peppermint, melrose, thieves, tea tree, rosemary, and frankincense. And you'll apply a drop of the selected essential oil to the affected area for immediate relief. Okay, and accidents. This happens also. Who's had an accident in the garden? You had an accident in the garden, just outside, sprains, fall into a hole, run into a tree. I was about to tell you a story of my grandfather, but I think that'll probably be a little extreme. If you want to know at the end, I will tell you. It's pretty dramatic. Okay, so gardening accidents, bruising, essential oils, helichrysum, geranium, lavender, lemongrass, deeper leaf, roll-on, and panaway. For burns and blisters, the essential oils that you can use are lavender, helichrysum, Roman chamomile, Idaho balsam fir, tea tree, lavenderum cooling mist. And then cuts and scrapes, you can use lavender, helichrysum, frankincense, myrrh, rosemary, thieves, spray, lavenderum cooling mist. So just take a picture of that slide and go start making your first aid kit for your gardening experience. But wait, there's more. All right. General itching, lavender, German chamomile, patchouli, rosemary, sorry, not rosemary, melrose, purification, and palmarosa, and poison oak, poison ivy, poison sumac. Try these and see how they work. There's myrrh, eucalyptus, rose, tea tree, cypress, peppermint, purification, Roman chamomile, lavender, rose ointment. The rose ointment it's a very kind of what do you call it? It's not a real soft ointment. You always have to kind of scrape it out, but it's very effective. It melts kind of right on there. Thieves spray, lavenderum cooling mist. And the application of it for any of these, apply 1 to 4 drops of chosen essential oil, neat or diluted to the affected area 1 to 3 times a day. Some of these are sprays and mists, so you know how to use those. All right. Okay, and then other little things that you might deal with as a gardener, chapped, cracked, or dry skin, especially if we work in the soil without gloves, your hands can get pretty dry. So the essential oil recommendations are carrot seed, frankincense, rose, cedarwood, patchouli, geranium, lavender, myrrh, and sandalwood, all very good for the skin and for the chapping and cracking that can happen with the skin. I just put that in the chat. You can also run into hay fever and allergies. So the recommendations for those are RC, lavender, eucalyptus blue, eucalyptus radiata, peppermint, frankincense, and lemon. Also dropping that into the chat. And what about muscle soreness? Yes, we get sore working in the garden. That's a good thing, but sometimes we need some help from our friends, essential oils. So you can use Panaway. All of these are the pan oils. Panaway Deep Relief Roll-On, Aroma Seas, Cool Azul Pain Cream is so awesome. If you love Cool Azul Pain Cream, drop a heart in the chat. Rosemary, peppermint, Idaho, balsam fir, and copaiba. And then apply these to affected areas, neat or diluted. Also a warm bath with 2 to 3 cups of Epsom salt and 3 to 6 drops of oils. These are very soothing. Do not take a bath with these oils without putting the Epsom salt in them because they will be very concentrated in very tender areas as you get in. So always add your Epsom salt. So it'll be very soothing for after a long day of working in the garden. All right, we have a couple more slides and we'll be finished with this. Here's some other helpful tips that you may want to just take a screenshot of here. Peppermint applied to the back or the neck brings cooling relief. I like to put that in a little sprayer. Just put a few drops of peppermint in there with water, shake it up and spray it on the back of your neck to cool you down. Tea tree oil to water to clean your garden tools. Prolong the life of your cut flowers by adding a drop of purification to the water in your vase. That is very effective. All right, if you would like to have all of this information and more, then you can just go ahead and purchase this book. It's on growinghealthyhomes.com. It's called Essentially Grown Natural Gardening with Essential Oils. And all of those recipes are in there, additional tips. And I think I saw that Growing Healthy Homes might be having a sale right now. I'm not sure if this is included. I didn't think to go check. Let's see, you have a question here, Leslie. Can we get Deep Relief in the bottle? No, it doesn't sell in the bottle. It sells only in the roll-on, but there is one kit. If you go do a search for Deep Relief, you will find a kit that is like the active sports kit or something, and that has the bottle of Deep Relief in it that is concentrated, more concentrated. I love that bottle too. We were actually getting that for free as part of our loyalty rewards. Okay, so if you are just getting started on essential oils, let me just show you. I didn't create slides for these, so I'm just going to show you my favorite kits to get started with that will probably include most of this. Let's see. Give me just a second here because it got me signed out and it's just signed back in. Okay. So let me share my screen. I'll show you my Young Living screen. All right, I'll go all the way to my loyalty reward order. Okay, if you were a member already, then you can go over here to shop, or even if you're not a Young Living member already, you want to ask the person that invited you for their member ID so that you can plug that into sponsor and enroller. And then they'll get some of the benefit, and also ask them for a discount code. There is a discount code for the month of April, which is only a few days left. You get a discount of 20% off of your first order. So talk to the person that invited you for that. Go over here to starter bundles. So you go to shop, go to starter bundles, and look at all these. These are the best value here. So the one that I would recommend in this case, since we're talking a lot about essential oils, is this one, the premium starter bundle with the Desert Mist diffuser, or you can get the one with the Aria diffuser. Let's take a look at that one. That Aria diffuser is worth almost as much as the entire kit. So it says the price is $280. That Aria diffuser is like $240 or something just by itself. So you get 12 essential oils with this. It unlocks a 24% discount for a year when you get this product. And it has a lot of the oils that we talked about. Almost all of the oils we talked about are in this kit by itself. So I highly recommend that. If you want to go a little bit lower price, you can go to the one with the Desert Mist diffuser, and our diffusers have a warranty for a year. So this one is $165 for this one. So you get this diffuser, which has both diffusers have pretty color changes, and they're very helpful for your respiratory health and making your home smell amazing. So the other kits that we have here are some different ones. We talk about Ningxia Red a lot for boosting your immune system, and so many other things in our Rev Up program where people are losing all kinds of weight. They use this product to help support their health as they go through that program, which is a lifestyle change program. And this is just a really neat piece of it. And then this Happy Healthy Home Kit is all natural cleaners. So we did talk a little bit about the dishwashing, like washing your dishes liquid. So there's all these cleaners, whole nice kit to get started with. So you can do some green cleaning at a really good price. It's only $112. And this Thieves Household Cleaner will make multiple bottles of this in this beautiful spray bottle that you have here. You also get some scrub for your tubs and your kitchen sink and things like that. And then this is your dishwashing soap. Dishwashing. Oh my gosh, your laundry soap here. I'm thinking about dishes. And then you get a couple of oils with this too, your Thieves and your lemon essential oils. So that's a really good place to start too. So talk to the person that invited you, get their member ID so that you can get started. And I hope that you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments one thing that you learned from this that is like your biggest takeaway. So I'll go ahead and stop the recording here, and then if there's any questions, we can chat.